welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going over I can't call it a tiny house anymore. It's too big. Sorry about the wind. It's windy. So this is where the sewage treatment plant goes. So unless you've been living under a rock, wood prices are insane, like 3 or so times what they normally are. So typically, to do a retaining wall, you'd put form wood all the way around and pour in and use long vibrating concrete vibrators and do it all the way down, and that's how you do it. Okay, well, to buy all that wood to make just those forms is going to be a fortune. Like, I could buy the wood and then I wouldn't have the money for the concrete probably. So I get to looking, investigating, searching, and I find formless retaining walls. So there's an ingredient that you add, and then you just stack it up, stack it up, stack it up. So that's what I'm going to do with this. Some things I'm doing, I got to stick with like your typical building kind of style, like finishing this off. This is going to have I don't know exactly what degree, ideally it'll be 45 degrees, roof that covers this, and then there's a wall here that separates that. All that stuff's going to have to be like typical framing with wood, because it's just kind of like I'm set up to do that. And that's kind of the same story on this, and the same story on the roof that comes to here. But when it comes to this area out here, I do not need to do that in a typical fashion. So what I am contemplating doing is earth bags. And then instead of that being a square room, it's going to be a oval from like basically the corner out here. There'll be an entryway that's probably typical framing. And then, because those earth bag walls have to be rounded. You can do them straight, but then you have to do them in between things. Support, like I could do one between that stuff. That would work, but it's just better to do them rounded. They're like, they lock themselves in. So that's what I'm going to do on that side. Now, earth bags need rock-free soil, which I don't have. I got this guy that didn't pay me for 27 hours of backhoe work, and he's got a bunch of sand on his property. So I'm going to go get my money in the sand. And it's sandy soil, so it'll be perfect for earth bag stuff. And that's pretty much how I'm going to have to do that end. I've been slamming on this. And I literally did probably a third of this in 8 hours. But already, not including maintenance on the backhoe, which is every 8 hours, I'm almost to 40 hours, I believe. So once I hit, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. You can see it's pretty rocky, but then the rock layer starts to get thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. And then so below, I messed up. I dug too deep because I couldn't see very well, so I ended up going too deep. But that stuff underneath the rock layer digs at about a ½ inch or an inch. You just scrape, 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 scrape. So this is, as soon as I hit that layer, this has been just so slow. Like, I'm burned out on, honestly, after digging the first, I thought I'd be done. After like 20 hours, I was figuring it'd probably be done. No. So that's what I've been doing since this pour got done, which this pour would have been a little bit better, but the concrete truck and the pump truck didn't release the concrete truck for 2.5 hours late because they didn't take down my information. I swear I've had nothing but problems with concrete. It's just so wacky that this is gonna be a freaking adventure, putting in a retaining wall of this size with no forms. So I'll probably actually have camera. I don't know. In theory, I want to have cameras going, but like I don't have any ability to deal with the cameras while I'm dealing with all that. So it's filming that stuff is really like this would have been impossible. I was working, like I hired people and they left because it was so late. Oh, a crack. There's the crack. That's the first crack that I've seen. I'm not too worried about it. It's gonna crack. It's gonna crack. On this thing until late in the night and was just so beat. And then the very next day, I was so tired, I just drove to bed to get dinner, and my truck broke down while my trailer was in the shop, and that all cost me all the money that I needed to just start going through this stuff. And it literally cost me like all my money, like $9,000 I had saved up. So, needless to say, like, I gotta kind of put a hold on this, really, for a second. As you can see, I've got a pile of insulation. So basically, I had to disconnect some of my outsulation, to pour the concrete. Well, that was like uncorking the cap, and the first big wind that came that way just blew it apart, right? So I don't have insulation, which isn't a big deal this time of year. And this insulation was never in the original plan. This was just because the concrete truck didn't show up. And this is where the insulation part's supposed to go, but the house is going all the way out to there. The structure is kind of a house. This is really like the house is supposed to be over there. So this is really like the utility for that house eventually, right? So it'll have big water, big power, that'll all just go over there so the house doesn't have to have that stuff in it. That's the theory anyway. So anyway, the insulation will come off, outsulation, and then it'll like go onto the roof or something. I'll reuse the stuff, right? But right now, I'm about ready to kind of change up from getting this, because like getting this concrete work done and poured before it freezes, which I probably have about 3 months or 4 months, probably 4 months before it freezes. Maybe not 4 months, maybe 3.5 months, whatever. So, but without that insulation on the roof, the sun's just beating on the top of the shipping container and making it just where it's unbearable in there during the day. So I'm going to change up. I'm going to go and I'm going to throw the roof that just goes from this roof to that shipping container, which before wood prices went insane, the plan was just to run it all the way out over the new structure as well. But now, since they're insane, I'll just get enough wood to do the roof to there. And once I get all the concrete poured and then the earth bags poured and all that, then I'll buy the wood to do the roof over all that, right? And hopefully it'll be cheaper by then, hopefully. So the plan has changed up a little bit, and it could change again. I mean, I'm just rolling with what I can do. I can get concrete in, I can get wood and stuff, but it's super expensive. So if I use earth bags and sand, I'll save myself thousands of dollars in wood. It's a learning curve. I've never done earth bags, so it'll be interesting. But it will definitely, it'll work well. If I do it the way I've watched over years and years and years, I've followed earth bag YouTube channels. So I have a pretty good grasp. So that end of the project will be interesting. It's all interesting to me, but maybe not to everyone else. So, but if it was just like your typical framed up situation, yeah, but now it's going to be earth bag. So that's going to be pretty cool. And it's going to be kind of a hybrid situation because typically you get earth bags, they go in domes and they're like this and they don't join up to this type of construction. But yeah, I just need to get it done for cheap. So I'm going to go with it. All right. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down button twice. Subscribe and have a wonderful day. Peace.